International backlash against the Turks, and joining us now, Gulnur Aybet, Senior Advisor to the President of Turkey. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Speaking of reaction from around the world, here is the U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper yesterday. Then we'll get your reaction.
We oppose and are greatly disappointed by Turkey's decision to launch a unilateral military incursion into northern Syria. Turkey must stop this incursion now, and that remains our message. Stop.
I guess you guys aren't going to stop, though, are you?
No, I mean, we're very determined because we have two objectives. One is to clear our border from this terrorist group, the YPG, which is equivalent to the PKK, which is a terrorist organization as recognized by the United States and the European Union.
So if you...
of course,
Go ahead with your second objective.
Yeah, and the second objective is to actually ensure the return of about 1 to 2 million Syrian refugees. We're already hosting 4 million of them in our country. And also a part of this objective is because since the YPG grabbed a lot of land in northeast Syria, unfortunately after the U.S. policy to arm them.
So hold on, I just want to understand this. Are you accusing the United States of helping terrorists? Because that seems to be where your logic is going.
Yes, I think it was a very ill-gotten policy.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back in a little bit.
I think the American public have a right to know because they're being lied to at this very minute. There's a lot of lies and misinformation about what we're trying to do here.
Listen, what do they have? What do we have? Hold on, man. So in other words, we're expected to believe that we're expected to not believe. Hold on, we're expected to not believe the NATO Secretary General, not believe the French, not believe the U.S. military that you've already fired upon, and believe that Recep Tayyip Erdogan is on the side of the angels, and we should just listen to the Turks who have already been cozying up to the Russians and buying S-400 missiles. You guys are the ones who are going to tell us the truth? Really?
You're not going to get anywhere by demonizing Turkey in this way. Listen,
well, maybe if they deserve it.
Listen, let me just finish, but you're not letting me speak, please. Now, listen, I think President Trump is absolutely right in wanting to bring home U.S. troops because I think it's very unfair that U.S. troops are hostage to this very ill-begotten policy that President Trump inherited from the previous administration, that is arming one terrorist group, the YPG, to fight another. As for ISIS, we are the one country in NATO and in the international coalition against ISIS that's cleared more area in Syria from ISIS than any other member of the coalition.
Okay,
and
I'm still lost here, though. If you all are the ones who are so good at fighting ISIS, if you all are the ones who are so good fighting ISIS, why was ISIS allowed to grow on your watch? And now the entire world is terrified that because of this military action by the Turks, that ISIS is going to be allowed to regrow.
We cleared a very large area. On the contrary, they were allowed to grow under the watch of the YPG, who actually allowed thousands of them to escape from Raqqa. We didn't do Raqqa, unfortunately. We asked the Americans to do it with us, but they didn't, and they chose to do it with
So now it's the U.S.'s fault?
I think the American public have a right to know that. Don't you think so? I mean, I think there's so much lies about this.
I'm unclear as to what the lie is, because our reporters who've been on the ground, and I've spent a lot of time in the Middle East as well, Turkey is a country that's cozying up. You're cozying up to Russia.
They've been attacking us.
Why should we believe anything the Turks are saying? I mean, when I lived in the Middle East, there was a saying, with friends like these, who needs enemies? That seems to apply right now. Your forces are firing on U.S. soldiers inside. Your forces are firing on U.S. soldiers, and you expect the American people to trust you?
No, we're not. That's another lie.
So hold on, I just want to be, ma'am, I want to be clear.
We did not fire at American soldiers, and that's been actually confirmed by the Pentagon.
Actually, the Pentagon says that you, ma'am, I want to be very clear.
We did not fire on American soldiers.
Well, that's interesting because the Pentagon says you did.
That was a lie that was spun by the YPG. We were.
The Pentagon said, ma'am, the Pentagon says that you did.
No, we were returning fire that was actually fired at us, at our territory, by the terrorists from that region. But we were very careful not to fire on the American observation post there.
Well, that'll be.
And no Americans were targeted.
Okay, well, that will be news to the U.S. Department of Defense. because this is from the Department of Defense, who says Turkish artillery rounds landed near U.S. forces in northern Syria. How that is not firing on U.S. forces, I don't know.
We're not. We're not firing on U.S. forces. I've already said that.
Well,
and it's already been denied.
So you're saying it was an
accident? I've already said that they didn't. No, because we were returning fire from the terrorists who were actually attacking our border towns.
So just to
but
put,
we were
just so we go full circle, just so we go
full
full circle, the government of Turkey, you as the president, one of the president's senior advisors, is accusing the United States of aiding and abetting terrorists against a NATO ally.
I said it was an ill-conceived policy.
Well, you're saying the policy is continuing.
One terrorist group to fight another. And I think that it's time you stop this policy. We're very disappointed that you're still working with the YPG outside.
Do you understand? But do you understand though the U.S. Hold on. You say you're disappointed. You've made your point, ma'am. You've made your point that you're disappointed in American policy. Let me ask you a question. Do you have you make a point that you're disappointed in American policy? People can disagree about policy all they want.
Yes.
Do you understand Americans' disappointment in a NATO ally that we've protected for 70 years, cozying up to the Russians, buying S-400 missiles, and supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, and helping Hamas in Gaza? Could you understand our disappointment and mistrust of Turkey because of those things?
Because everything that you're accusing us of is not true. Simply. I mean, I don't know why you're
it's not true. You all have S-400 missiles, do you not?
It's not true.
It's not true that you have S-400 missiles?
Yes. Yes,
okay, so that is true.
Because we need an air defense system, which you did not provide for us.
Okay.
What we were supposed to do. I mean,
so you just said something that I said wasn't true, and now that you said it is. I think, ma'am, you might be realizing why it's so difficult for Turkey to defend this policy.
Why we had the right.
Okay.
Well, you're not actually letting me speak.
We let you finish a number of times. It'd be helpful if we could. It'd be helpful. It'd make it a lot easier, ma'am, if rather than spin, we got actually some real facts out of the Turks. That's been difficult to do. We'll have you back sometime to talk about it. We appreciate it.
This is a terrorist organization.
We understand your position.
These are our objectives.
We understand the position, ma'am. Thank you.
This operation, which we have